join me in pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We call the Mars City Council special meeting to order Tuesday, January 31st at 4 p.m. Could we have roll call, Bev?
Nelson.
Yes.
Knapp.
Yes.
Rexwinkle.
Yes.
Goodchild.
Yes.
Wick.
Yes.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made and approved, motion made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a pleasure today to introduce and to welcome everybody to the chamber here in City Hall on the special meeting, which has to do with our budgets. I want to represent the individual from the Mars City Sentinel, and you're here, and particularly you people that are watching over television. Today, first of all, we've got two items on the list, consent items. The first one is the urban revitalization tax exemption request. The city has received 4 requests for properties to be approved under the urban revitalization plan. And I think these people have had a list of those, and the council members. The staff has reviewed the applications, and they comply with the requirements set out in the urban revitalization plan. I will entertain a motion, if nobody on the council has any questions.
Motion approved for urban revitalization tax exemption requests as follows: 801 6th Street Southwest, 1755 24th Street Southwest, 881 PGA Drive, and 1287 16th Avenue Southeast.
Second to the motion.
Motion made second, approving 4 urban revitalization tax exemption requests as follows: 801 6th Street Southwest, 1755 24th Street Southwest, 881 PGA Drive, and 1287 16th Avenue Southeast. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The second item on the agenda is an action item which involves engineering and surveying services. Attached is a summary of 4 amendments to the master agreement with Schofel Engineering Incorporated to perform engineering and surveying services as follows. Amendment 2017, number 1, STP PCC White Top, Central Avenue, 3rd Street North to 3rd Street South. Number 2 is 2017, the STP PCC White Top, Central Avenue, which includes 5th Street South to 12th Street South. Number 3 is a 2017 year, is extend the box culvert along Business 75 South by McDonald's. And the 4th one on 2017 is a TAP-PACC trail along Key Avenue from C38 to 24th Street. The financial impact is 1 and 2, funded by the DUC funds, to $96,000. Number 3 is funded by the storm sewer funds, which amounts to $7,000. And number 4 is funded by CB2 funds through the Mars Area Betterment Foundation to the tune of $27,000. The total bill of these is $130,000. Are there any questions from the council on these? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the 4 amendments to the master agreement with Schofel Engineering Incorporated to perform engineering and surveying services in the amount of $130,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the 4 amendments to the master agreement with Schofel Engineering Incorporated to perform engineering and surveying services in the amount of $130,000. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to why we're here on the special meeting today is in the process of a budgeting program, and This year, we're doing things a little bit different from the standpoint of calling a special meeting and having everyone an opportunity to voice their opinions, to bring the council members up to date in regard to where we're at on the budgets, and they will share those with you. This budgeting process is not taken lightly, ladies and gentlemen. The budgeting process with our department heads, every one of our department heads in the city started back in December. And they were asked to put their budgets together, what their thoughts and needs were for the year of 2017, 2018. From that point on, the month of January has been very busy with our council members here, our administration people, because each department head came in and sat down and went through line item by line item and the requests of everything that we've got. And normally there's about 2 council members that's assigned to the different department members. And they spent a lot of time in City Hall here in the month of December, month of January, I must say. It's down now to where tonight we're going to allow everyone to once again, first of all, not only the 2 council members that's on each department, but let the rest of the council members ask any questions they may want to as we go through each department and every service.
So has Greg got that on 5-second delay, so if I say something stupid, he can hit the button?
You have to ask Greg that. I'm not running that button.
It's on delay because I can see I'm not moving the same way I'm moving there.
Okay.
So there must be a tiny bit of a delay. I don't know if I can stop it, though.
Just thought I'd start out the meeting by just saying we might want to stop that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing.
Anyway, I just got a couple comments on budgets, and number one, we're really blessed here in Lamar's, Iowa, of the things that we've done, I think, over the past 8, 10, 12 years, whatever it might be. And the reason the way they've been done is because it's been a very good way of planning and following through. There's 3 things that I personally have always been strong on, and one of them is communications, which allows everybody, including our people watching over television or our citizens, to know what's going on in the city. And we try to keep our best to keep them informed as to what Lamar's is taking place and things in it. The second thing is teamwork. I think this is an area that has really helped make Lamar's where it's at today. I've not heard in a long, long time of any department that said that's not my job. Our departments work very, very close together. Case in point, the 13 and a half inches of snow that we got, we had every department, somebody from every department working as a team together. And the third thing is follow-through or accountability. And I think that that has been showing up real well, that the commitments we make, we try to follow through and do them and be accountable. I've got some great news. If this budget comes through the way that we're looking at it, and that is in 2005, our what do you call it, Rex?
Levy.
Our tax levy, thank you, has never been raised since 2005 at $13.50. Now, bear in mind, that's just the city. I also want to share something else with you, that every year we go through this, I have people come back and say, well, I thought that the levy was the same where the taxes wasn't going to raise any. The city always gets blamed when the tax rates go up. And the thing that causes it is the assessment of the values of your home. It isn't the city that's raising it. This year, the way the budget is working so far and set up is we're going to be lowering that tax rate or that levy by $1 on every $1,000 on your home, which is a huge.
Or business.
Or business student.
Everybody that pays taxes.
Huge,
Is gonna pay
tremendous
less.
reduction is what we're striving for today.
And Mayor, not only do we not control the assessed values, we do not control the rollback set by the state either.
Thank you, John. You're exactly right. So the point being is there's a lot of things that enter in to when we set up budgets that we have no control over.
And again, just so I can add to the mayor's comment, the
Go ahead.
levy is not set up willy-nilly. So we haven't picked a number out of the sky. Why don't you continue on with your points, and I'm gonna put on the board the three items
Just a minute.
that add up to it.
Let me finish, and then I want you to explain
Yeah.
why and how
Yeah, 'cause
we're
it's-
working with on this budget.
It's goofy.
The other thing is the fact that we got great news. Not great news, but it's not great news, but it's great news. We're looking at a $620,000 deficit in order to balance this budget. So it's going to give us an opportunity as a group and as a council to work through, because we're going to balance that budget. So after saying all that, I'm going to let Rex share with you what's involved in all of this and how we're doing it and why.
I'm gonna try to explain taxes just a little bit. I'm gonna put a couple numbers up for you guys to see. 16, 17, 17, 18. Okay, the city is maxed out at 8. That's all, that's what the city gets to do, period. State of Iowa ain't nothing we can do about it. And there's a thing called benefits. That's diapers, social security, health insurance, all that good stuff. If you don't like any of these numbers, talk about it. Again, we can only tax what our benefits cost. It's not taking a number, pick it out of the air. Then our debt. Our city debt is what's making us have to go down. And you're going, well, how come that is? Well, that's because we haven't taken on more debt. We've been trying to do it properly, trying to spend your money wisely. You'll get those and they'll add up pretty close. The 62 can go to like 85 or something like that. A little bit up, the debt, maybe 80. Okay, so it could maybe go to 0.8 because we have to have real debt and we don't have it in the city. We pay all our bills. We bought fire trucks, we did roads, we did all that stuff with cash. So even if we wanted to do all 600,000 that you guys are asking for, it doesn't work. The math doesn't work. So it's not that, I mean, you guys could yell at us and we'll yell back. It's not that we're trying to be mean, we're just trying to show you that according to the state, that's what we can do. Now, the thing that's gonna happen even worse is the .62 is gonna go away in a couple of years because we're gonna have our debts paid. No general fund obligations. And right now, the city employees have been pretty healthy, so health insurance is not going up for us. That doesn't mean you need to go out there and get sick. That doesn't help. That's only a cost, which is a cost. So you're sitting there saying, well, yeah, but if you just left everything at 13.5, we'd pick up 400,000. You're right, we'd pick up 400,000 and we'd be illegal according to state of Iowa law. And I know this is news to lots of people here because we've never run across this. But to give you an idea, Sioux City is at 16.
and they're asking for $10 million raise in their cost right now. They're hoping to go to 17.5, and we're going to be at 12.5. They're going to be 50% higher just in Sioux City. Orange City's in the 15 range, Sioux Center's in the 16 range. Nobody's this cheap. And why? Because ornery people like myself that sat on the council didn't want to go into debt. And we could have built a lot of things and put a lot of debt on the books, but then that would have obligated people a lot farther down the road. So when we're asking you about, fire trucks or extra person or whatever, remember, we got to get in this range. We don't have the ability to just say yep to 600,000. We have the ability to say yep to 80,000. So, yeah, I know there were some people hoping I'd be sick and not be here tonight because I'm the honorary guy. But that's okay. I accept it because we're trying to do the right thing, but I also want you guys to understand what we're up against. This is what we're up against. Those first two numbers, the benefits and the city's 810 limits, are fixed by state of Iowa law. Ain't nothing we can do about it. Right, Scott? Ain't nothing we can do about it. That's just the way it is. The 6.6 for debt could go maybe to 0.8, but even if we did it at 0.8 this year, then we would only be at about, we'd probably be in the 11s next year. So we're trying to do things right, not only for this year, but for longer term. So hopefully everybody approaches the wonderful microphone with that perspective. And Rex, talking about the tax, the mill rate, I think you probably run some numbers with the state's rollback for next year and assessed values. What does it mean for a person with a $100,000 house? What is their tax savings?
Well, just this is a 9% savings on your home, but your home rate went up like 1.8%. So if you're looking at your 40% for the city share is going to go down by 7%. Now, the problem we have with that, and John knows how complicated it gets, the school, they can't go down. School doesn't have enough money to pay the teachers right now, and they're not getting enough money from the state. So I don't know if they're going up, but if they go up a little bit, it could offset any savings we have. The county, they're just going to kind of stay where they are. That's the way they've always been. I just don't see them changing at all. So you got those three things plus, was it Area 12 that's in your sheet that you get from the assessor's office? If you look at the bottom, you're going to go through about 4 or 5 lines that are getting taxed down there. And the only one we can control is the city, and that ends up being about 45% of the bill. So 45% of the bill, we're going to knock everybody down about 8% in cost, 7% in cost.
You may want to explain the TIF is
Okay.
sunsetting.
Yeah,
Just before you do that, on page, John, your answer is found on page 22 of the booklet. And-
Right.
And
I just wanted to-
residential is a reduction of 5.2%, commercial industrial is a reduction of 7.4%, and multifamily residential is a reduction of 11.4. So the figures Rex is quoting, I believe, are the averages.
yeah,
across
I just took the
the
average
whole
of 7.
spectrum.
Right, I know it's on the sheet, but I wanted Rex,
Yeah.
I wanted to air it so that people understand and hear
Right.
what we're talking about.
So then if you're not already confused, this is when we get into the TIF. Okay. Most people don't really understand what a TIF is, and I'm going to try to make it as quick and painless as we can. A TIF is called a tax increment financing district. And what a tax increment financing district is that all the revenue from that district goes to pay for all that improvements in that district. So when you're running that district, it's and perfect example is 18th Street, Wells Blue Bunny, South Ice Cream Plant, Noram, Bodine's, Beacons, all those are in the Lamar's TIF. Obviously, in the last 25 years, I know because I was sitting there 25 years ago, we had lagoons from Beef America on the corner there of 18th Street,
And everything else since then, and Mr. Adler would confirm that, has all been done in the last 25 years. So we've been very, very, very successful in creating tax increment financing dollars. We've been successful to the tune of about $3.7 million comes into that district every year. About 4 years ago was the first time we adjusted it, when we only took in $2.7 million. We gave $1 million back to the school, the county, and the city's general fund and didn't use it for tax increment financing because we had everything paid for in that area. The state had the arguments that the TIF that was going bad, and people like Coralville got into lawsuits and other people. So Chuck Soderberg was still down there at the time, and he called us and asked us if we really were giving back some of the money. We said we were. And he says that's the only time that they've been aware of any city ever taking less than they could get in the history of TIF. Nobody's ever done it. They all just take all the money and figure out new projects. Well, we thought we did pretty much everything we were going to do in that area. So then this year comes along, and this is year 24 of 25. So we have 2.7 still coming into the district, and we sat there in November, did a lot of soul searching and figured out what we need to do, because that district continues all the way from Wells South Ice Cream Plant up to the sewer plant on the north end of town. And the reason those are connected is because who uses the sewer system? Wells, Deans, all those people. So we connected the two. Well, if you remember how they're connected, you're connected by Highway 75. So we knew we needed money to resurface Highway 75, but we didn't know any other projects that we needed the money for. So instead of taking in 2.7 million, we took in 1.7 million this year on this year's budget, which put a 400,000 into our city general fund, put 400,000 into the school's general fund, and a couple 100,000 into some of those other groups. So we're still taking $1.7 million in. That's going for Highway 75. That's going to be paid for. We're not going to bond for it. It's going to be paid for. Now, I think if you're sitting there saying, yeah, but Rex, we had a $1.8 million bid. Well, yeah, we're going to be 100,000 short. Well, we're going to have to take it out of the overlapping urban renewal, which includes the new corporate plant. So now this gets really confusing. So we took that extra money in this year, knowing that the school was going to be short, but also knowing that it's a good thing for us to take some more off that number. That 1.7 goes away next year. It's over. So we're going to pick up another 600,000 of city revenue. The school's going to pick up 600,000. The county's going to pick up some. The only TIF we're going to have at that point is the overreaching one with the corporate center and the South Ice Cream Plant and all the buildings, but it's going to be at a new level. So there's not as much revenue coming in, and that revenue is going to have to go to pay off the corporate center for Wells. So we actually do this with a lot of thought and a lot of foresight, trying to do the best thing for the tax holders. It's very complicated. We work with Bob Jostin, an attorney out of Des Moines that actually wrote the TIF law, trying to figure out how to do this. We've talked to different legislative people, and we've sat there and tried to do things as if it's spending our own money. And, you know, you're not going to like it through this night when I sit there and say, nope, you can't have this, or nope, you can't have that. And that, don't take it personally. I love all my city employees, honest to God. I think they do a hell of a job. But we have to make this budget balance with that number, because that's where we're sitting. Next year, we're going to have that number, instead of 12.5, probably be in the 11s because of this extra revenue from the TIF. We're going to be a shining star in the state because we're going to have reduced taxes that much. And people are gonna look at us and say, geez, it's 50% cheaper than Sergeant Bluff, or 50% cheaper than Sioux City, or 50% cheaper than Orange City to live here. And people are gonna figure it out. It doesn't take long. Taxes, utilities, those things continue on your budget every day. So if we can keep taxes down at that low level and provide the services we're providing in town right now, God bless us.
Would you do me a favor, Rex, and repeat the levy for Sioux City, Orange City, Sioux Center, and Lamar's? Because I think that's something that is very, very, very real.
Sioux City is 16, but they announced in the paper today that their budget people want to raise it by $10 million, 10%. They want to raise it 10%. Now, they're not going to get all those things approved, but Sioux City paper had headlines of $10.7 million increase, which would be an over 10% increase in the mill levy from 16, okay? Orange City is hovering in the 15 range. I don't know if it's 15 and a half or 14 and a half, but it's around 15. Sioux Center's in the same kind of range.
Okay, and we are,
We are here,
12.5.
that's huge.
12.5. 12.5 compared to 16 or 17, that's almost a 40% deduction.
That's huge, and outside of that discussion too is our water rates, our sewage rates, our trash rates are much lower than all those communities.
Well, to give you an example, trash is at, $12 or $13 here, and it's 21 at those other cities that I just quoted. Sioux City is at 30. But we're just, yeah, you can sit there and say, yeah, but you won't give me a new pickup truck or something, and that's great. I won't give you a damn pickup truck at all tonight. I'll say no, I'll say no to lots of things. I am not personally picking on people by saying it. But we have to do this physically, and we know those other cities are gonna run up against some trouble. I mean, this is not rocket scientists. I mean, the state of Iowa's $100 million short. How do they get $100 million short when they had a $200 million surplus the last 2 years? They didn't care, they didn't plan, they didn't look. And I said it to Chuck Holtz to his face. You guys just didn't think about this? You thought the ag was always gonna continue at $7 corn? Come on. We gotta look ahead a little bit. That's what we're trying to do. I know the auditors come in here and they tell us that we don't have enough days in reserve because we're at like 87 days and they wanna have 92 days or something like that. Well, I sat here when we had 17 days. It was pretty scary, to be honest with you. But at 87 versus 92, we're okay. Everything in this book is okay. Everybody that's put together a budget is okay. I'm not picking on anybody that's put together a budget any more than anybody else. But this is really important stuff. And you can say, I put a lot of effort into this because I want to make sure that everybody gets treated fairly, but I don't want to do something that's wrong. So we're going to be at that 12.5. We're going to figure out how to cut at least 500 of the 600. And I think we've got people in the audience that are willing to help us. So we can start with anybody that wants to give us money, right?
Yeah, no. You want me to say something next?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We've got a heavy schedule, to be very honest with you, but to be very fair. As I mentioned, our council members are here tonight. They may ask you some questions, and you're certainly have the opportunity to share with them what your thoughts are. And I'm going to take, first of all, we're going to give each area 5 minutes. And the reason we want to get out of here by 6 o'clock. But I'm going to take the culture program request first. And under culture programs, the first one is Lamar's Municipal Band. John Snyder represents that. John called me today and he's got the flu. No problem, he just said he would not be here. The Lamar's Historic Preservation Commission, I believe, is going to be represented tonight by Mary Reynolds, right? So if any council member has questions for Mary, or Mary, you want to say anything, well, you're welcome to do it. You've got 5 minutes.
Sure. 5 minutes, Mary.
Or less.
Yeah, or less.
Yeah, I'd like to just run down real quick what we have on our budget page, if you happen to have that in front of you, and clarify it for you so it makes you understand the importance to us. We have asked for $150 for Youth on Main Street and the
Page
change.
63.
On there. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Oh, wait a second. Don't count that on my 5.
No, you're good. Go.
4.
The $150 is matched by the Chamber of Commerce, and this allows us to have some money for materials, speakers, various things that we use with Youth on Main. We have gotten statewide recognition on this program, so I hope you'll fund that part of it. Workshops and conferences, this is for people on the commission to be able to attend SHPO workshops across the state. And we usually have 1 or 2 people that go every year, and this picks up their costs. And this does not include Main Street things. Ours are under our own budget. Oral histories, this is a project that we began a couple of years ago. We are taking histories of people that are in their 80s or above, and we visit with them. We have a set criteria of questions that we visit with them about Lamar's, not their personal lives. And it is expensive for the transcription, but we would like to ask for $2,000 for this transcription process, which we send out to have that done. And it's a wonderful thing to keep our history, so very, very important. Special projects, we work on many things with Main Street, on second floor housing, different projects. We work on restoration work, working with different businesses, the facade programs, they work with us on that. We asked for $1,000 to help us be a co-partner in that process. We have a museum has given us a room now, and in that room we have a printer, all different books, the books that Iris Henriksen used to keep at her home, the binders full of pictures, historic documents, different things like that. We just asked for $500 to sustain our printer cartridges, the various things that we need to keep that room up. $1,000 in training. This is for different opportunities that we can bring to Lamar's for different people. For example, we have the opportunity, we visited with Scott about this a while back, there is a man that puts on window restoration workshops, and he comes to your town, and we talked about the Royal Theater's windows where they actually teach other contractors how to do it properly, and that building gets its windows done during the process of that restoration. So we have those training opportunities that we'd like to bring here, so we asked for $1,000 in that category. And then just $500 in various supplies or things that come around. If you are aware and have stayed on top of us in the last probably 5 to 7 years, this group has exploded. We are in the process now of asking you, we will be before you soon, to go from an advisory body to a regulatory body. We have a great group of people, and we are making strides. You see the CDBG that happened, all the historic work on buildings. So we ask you to please fund us $5,750. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions for Mary?
What was their funding last year?
Not much.
What was it?
Not enough.
2.
That's what I thought. I thought it was 50 something.
We're worth $5,750 because we watch the different properties in 3 historic tax districts. We're doing a lot of great things. Jason can attest to it, so can Scott.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next one is the Lamar's Art Council. Judy, is she here? Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Judy at the Art Council?
You don't see any problem raising the money so we can do the match?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mid-Sioux Opportunity is Dick Severs, and he is, Dick, I'm sorry, yeah.
You could come.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mid-Sioux?
I'm Melissa Jewell with Mid-Sioux Opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. Mid-Sioux has an outreach office here. We actually rent our building.
Excuse me. Scott, do you know what page that's on? On the
59.
59? Thank you.
This is just the total. Yeah. Says they want $5,000. Yeah, they just got $5,000 in the request. Yeah. Go ahead. Go.
Excuse me for interrupting you.
No, that's okay. I understand. We are operating an outreach office here. We actually rent our building for the outreach office and our Head Start Center from the City of Lamar's, and we're really grateful that we are allowed to have that facility. Our request is $5,000. It's the same request that we've had in the past few years. This money is kept to help us keep those doors open. We have the office open 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 4 o'clock. It gives families that are low income the ability to come in and access a variety of services. And if we were not have the availability of keeping that office open, it would be a lot harder for our clients to be able to access services and get the things that they need. So our services include LIHEAP, weatherization, Head Start, Early Head Start, WIC, maternal health, child health, dental services, child care resource and referral, outreach, and the FAS, which is a self-sufficiency program. Last year, approximately $1.4 million in services was provided to the people in Lamar's, and that's a return of $280 for each dollar invested in by the city, so that's a great return of investment. So without the funds from the cities and the counties, we make similar requests to these to all of the cities and also to the county. We would not be able to provide the services that we do, so we greatly appreciate your continued support.
Is that what it was last year, Beth?
Yep.
So how big of an area do you serve?
Mid-Sioux Opportunity serves primarily 5 counties: Lyon, Sioux, Plymouth, Cherokee, and Ida.
So you're the head for those 5?
No, Dick is the head for the 5.
Dick Sievers.
I'm the director for just the child care resource.
I mean
referral.
this facility.
Oh, the outreach office? It covers all of Plymouth County.
All of Plymouth County?
Yes.
Okay. And roughly how many people, how many clients did you affect last year?
In just that county, hold on. 2,431 and 925 households.
Thank you very much.
Say that in
And 925 households.
25.
Any other questions?
No.
What
Thank
does
you,
the county, what does the county put into it?
Let me see here.
Not much.
2431.
Dick doesn't hand that information to me, so I can find out and get back to you.
That's right. Because we're doing the 5, which is what we did last year. That's what's in the budget. But we also believe that we are giving you a good deal on the property, right? We're not charging an extra amount of money for the property. Not only that, we're trying to maintain it for you, and I think we've done some improvements up there too, which has cost us money. I mean, we're trying to give back our improvements over time, but I think it's over 30 years, something like that. It's a long time trying to get back the money. So, not that I'm picking on you, but I want to make sure that you go back with the idea that, yeah, but they also know that, you know, the building's a pretty good deal for you. So,
We
and I think-
understand that.
and I
We-
think
we
you
appreciate
understand
that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Tell Dick hello. Plymouth County Museum, I see Judy's here. Anybody have any questions for Judy?
Real fast.
Yeah, you got 5 minutes, Judy.
And we have our president here, Bruce Studenberg, president of the board, and Mary Fuller, the business manager, registrar, and if they want to add to any of this. Mostly, we just have been very pleased to have 7,500 every year for many, many years. This must go back at least 20 years. And I haven't broken it down for you there. We use it for general operating. We have a huge building, as many of you know, you've been there. It's 5 floors of exhibits, a lot of storage, 70,000 square feet, so a lot of our money does go for maintaining the building. Last year, we had nearly 6,000, we have had a few more than that at times, and we expect, from what the mayor is promising, that we will have many, many busloads of people through the museum this coming year, right?
I didn't know you were going to commit me.
I think Jessica, anyway, there's supposed to be 100 buses coming through, right?
That's our goal.
Yeah, so
On our
we're expecting
tourism
the
programs.
attendance to climb. So the building has really grown. We've renovated room by room. However, the staff has not grown so much. We still have pretty much the same size of staff. We're very lean on staffing. We've learned to do the steps very quickly. We have an elevator and have had for many years. We do put a lot of our major gifts, which we are very fortunate to acquire at times, into the endowment fund, because we know the future of the museum is the endowment fund. Some of that we can get to. That's called the renovation fund, which we always want to be able to get to that in case we have a leaking roof or something. We do the maintenance of the grounds. Many, many years ago, you may remember, the city helped us with the lawn mowing, but it's been our responsibility for quite a long time now. We have volunteers mostly doing the snow removal and the mowing. The city did come through with, and I'll credit Scott with this, for planting the grass at the log cabin this past fall, and we're really pleased with that. We do go after all the local grants we can find and a few state grants. We are very aggressive on the fundraising. We keep the heat, if you've been in there and you have to wear your coat, yes, we keep it at a minimum. We have to have some areas climate controlled as much as possible. We did an LED lighting project this last year, which is supposed to save us a lot of money. And we still do a lot of gym rentals and study hall rentals. If anybody needs either a facility, like for graduation, we'd be glad to accommodate you. So that's just really it in a nutshell. I don't know if Ruth, Mary, do you have anything you want to say? But thank you very much for your past support. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Judy. Anybody have any questions for him? I can share this with you, Judy, that we've got a very nice Plymouth County Museum here. And the reason I can say that is I've had the opportunity to work with the buses that have came in from people from out of town, and they're very much impressed with what we got going here. Thank you. Okay, that ends the culture side. Going on to the number 3, committee highlights. The first one is Community Services, and Councilman Wick and Councilman Goodchild are representing the city, but by the same time, the other council members may ask some questions. The first one on there is Chamber and Main Street, and is that, I see Neil, is Neil here? Do you have any questions for Neil? Anybody? Mary's here, any questions for Mary on Main Street? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next one, and that is the library, and I believe Shirley's here. Dr. Stelzer, or anybody else, whoever wants to. Does anybody have any questions for these?
A doctor being supportive, I love it.
Library, what page is that on, Scott?
It's 56.
Thank you.
56.
I don't have time to look up the pages.
Got it highlighted.
Appreciate the help. Okay, yeah. Questions?
Well, let's just, you want to just start being ornery now, or we want to wait a while?
Rex, you're driving that bus, not me.
Well, I don't see any way we can get a $600,000 budget down with 4 new staff position requests when the fancy word now is we don't have time to vet them. I mean, I think if the department heads want to add a person on, I think they got to go through the regular council meeting times, they got to talk to the different committees, and then we got to approach them one by one. I don't think it's appropriate to talk about adding 4 people through a budget process, because if I would let somebody have one and somebody not have one, then I look like I'm picking and choosing, and I don't want to do that. So I propose that we eliminate all 4, which is street, library, fire, and police. I think those are the 4, right?
They are.
Okay. So basically, I got half the audience ticked off at me right now, so that's probably good, right? Since we that's gonna be about 250 grand of savings, something like that.
Well, I would like to go, I would like to go one at a time.
That's fine.
I would really like to go one at a time.
You can, we
But
can,
like I said in committee or at the last library, I don't support another person. You are in a transition year. You're gonna have a big year. There's gonna be a lot of changes. And I think during that, but basically after that, would be a much better time for you to assess your needs for growth, more activity. So truthfully, I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you on the phone or tell you in committee, oh, boy, I'm gonna shoot, because I don't support this at this time for you. So I am with them on not allowing a full-time person for the library during this budget session. I'll just make a public statement. And I'm not saying that can't change. When we revamp the library and you've got people flocking your door,
I think we need to look at it. But at this point, half the year is gonna be in transition. Half the year is gonna be a mixed
We
up
don't even know
basket.
where you're gonna be, do we
For
yet?
sure. Yeah, I don't think it's been fully decided, but the point is, so I just wanted to just tell you that right up front, guys.
And I think that's a valid thing to address, and how I would address that is, we do need to plan, and in order to plan, we need to know where we're gonna be, and so we have to, and when I say be, I mean budget-wise, we need to look at what can we hope to achieve. We're gonna renovate the building. I think we also need to rejuvenate the services. And that came out in the Lamar's comprehensive plan. That is one of those things that kept coming up about expanded hours. And no, I think we can't expand hours during those months that we're gonna be relocated. But I would love to open up the doors to a renovated space and say, this is gonna be a new and rejuvenated library, and the services and the hours are gonna go right along with it. I will be happy to come back if you prefer to do that, but that is the plan here. We do have to plan for a summer reading program, and I wanna know where we're gonna be when we go out to hire. We really, really need to have more staff, and my goal is to know, what can we hire for? What can we say to somebody, we can bring you on at this level? That's why we're kind of waiting. We're in a wait and see mode over there, because we want to know. I don't want to bring somebody on at, say, level of 24 hours, and I know the coming year we can't keep them. That's not a position anybody wants to be in. But I see it as my role to take a look at what the community has asked for, and to say, I have to come and ask you and say, look, this is what the community has asked for, this is what I think where we need to go, this is what I think the community will support and is looking for in a director, to say, hey, let's rejuvenate this library, and let's provide more services and more hours.
Right, and that's why we brought it up now. If you looked at back in fiscal year '08, we were at 8 full-time equivalents at the library. We're down to 5, just over 5. And even with all these new positions, it doesn't bring us up to what we were 8 years ago. And to get back the services and to grow and move forward along with the renovation, this is a library that the community can be proud of. I think Shirley does a marvelous job. We work very, very hard to be fiscally responsible, but to do more for the people and make it a true public library and have it available, we need something. Now, I could probably live, Rex, with not getting everything we ask, but what we ask for is to help move forward.
Well,
We're not trying to be
and
extravagant. We're not even
we've
up to
taken
what
quite a
we-
while to go through the whole even building renovation project. I mean, that was supposed to be a few months, and it took almost a few years. So I've been sitting here through that whole stage too, but we do amend the budget every year for whatever we decide to do throughout the year. But I think we've just got to look at this and try to figure out how many hours we do want to be open. We've got to get on the same page with you guys. We've got to spend more time with it than just saying it's a budget thing.
And one of the other significant items is the collections. To be able to have materials, we had to cut significantly back last year, and this is to backfill some of that so we can continue.
But Doctor, the one thing that I'm gonna go back to is, we're gonna go through this renovation. That's been settled.
Yeah.
I'm very pessimistic on construction time, so we could actually be budgeting for something when you're not even in the house that you want the increases to go into. I think we're a year off of, I think you're gonna have a heck of a nicer library a year from today than you do now. And I think there's gonna be a lot, what's that?
I agree with that.
So the projection should be a lot more solid at that time. I'm not trying to,
Yeah, but we need to continue at the same time. I accept your concerns, but we didn't think we were being excessive, but that's why.
No, and if you wanted to be excessive, we would tell you not to buy anything, because we'd have to move
It's
it.
pretty close to what we did last year. That's why we-
And I think the renovation is it'll help you dictate, I mean, you're based on, are you gonna get increased people flow into the
Right.
facility and that type of thing, so that's gonna help you better.
The question I got, if you're going through the renovation process, is there any efficiencies in it? Are you saving any money over what you got now?
Is there some of these lines that you think
lines.
you're saving money
Yeah.
on because of the renovation project? Or right now, are we just thinking, we don't know? So we're not worrying about
Right.
potential savings, we're just worrying about more hours. And I'm not saying you shouldn't worry about hours. I'm just with Dick. If I've got all this happening, should my utilities be half or something because I'm that much more efficient? I don't know.
The lighting is gonna stay the same. Our
Okay.
our footprint is gonna stay the same, so I think our utilities are gonna track. Now, and Scott, you'll have to help me there, we're gonna have to pay utility, if we relocate, we'll have to pay utilities in a new place. We may not be 100, it's probably not gonna be the energy efficient bulbs that we're used to, that we've gotten used to on that. So we don't know what those utilities are gonna be, and that's gonna start, this budget starts July 1.
But
Under
like
most-
contracted services and stuff, that's the same, right?
We're gonna need a copy machine wherever we're
Okay.
gonna be. On cleaning, that remains to be seen. I
we gotta
would
keep
say
going.
that every year I've been here, regardless of what has happened, and there've been some bumps in the road, I have brought the budget under what has been asked of me. Now, this year, I will do my best. I'm tracking close. So I see myself as trying to be very responsible, and even though we probably won't, because we're in a renovation, it's an unknown. So if I come up and ask for a limited amount of money, I would prefer to over-deliver and under-promise. So I don't want to say, oh, yes, I can bring it in at this amount with all of those variables. I'd rather say to you, I think in order to have us have a great facility, have the hours that people are looking for, this is where I feel very confident we can bring it.
Okay.
Now, if we can't do it, we can't,
Okay, we gotta move on, thank you.
You got questions, Scott?
No, I think I agree with a lot of the conversation. At least a good portion of this upcoming fiscal year that we're talking about on this budget is gonna be in turmoil. We're gonna be relocated to a different location. We're not gonna be in the permanent library. We're gonna be under construction. And so I think it is premature, Shirley, to increase the budget, increase staff at a time when we don't know what the net effect of the new facility is gonna have on all that.
I do think, though, if there is a possibility that we're gonna be staffing 2 floors, it's very hard to keep our doors just the way we are right now today. We're running very, very short, and we have to look at some economies if nothing increases. But if we go to a 2-floor temporary space, that is a whole different thing too, especially involving,
Well,
Okay.
Rex's comments, I do want to comment on that as well, is I don't think a 5-minute time slot on a budget consideration is the proper time to vet, using his term.
Yeah.
To vet, do we need 1 person, 2 persons, no people? I really think that needs to be taken on its own merit with ample time in committee so that you can present your case to committee, the committee can come back to the council, and we can give due diligence to the concept. And we've got all the things talked about in committee before we come to the council level.
But I wanted, one last thing is, you do a heck of a job, Shirley. You are and I don't think anybody's trying to pull the rug out from the library. I think this transition year has me nervous, and so I'm with that conversation. Let's do this in committee, let's talk it over, because you're right, if you go to a 2-floor facility, we may need to ramp up some part-time. We don't want any services to fall to the wayside, but yet to ramp up prematurely in a year that is already projected to be in turmoil, till at least December. Let's take it back to committee and we'll talk it over.
I would have less, I have a lot of anxiety too. I'd have less so if my budget was healthy. So I just want to say that.
All right, you and the people behind you.
Yeah.
We do at least 1 major budget amendment every year, that's in June.
Yeah.
And so between now and June, I would encourage that the committee and yourself and your board work together to get a little bit better handle on this and make a recommendation back to the city.
Because if I just pull out the person, the increase is 6%, but 4% of the 6% is due to collections. materials. So you only got a 2% budget increase outside of books.
Taking away all the personnel requests.
If I just took away the person, all I did
One
was
person,
take away
one
the,
FTE.
took away the 56,439 from your budget.
Then you got 7%.
Then I got 7,
Right.
but 5 of it's due to collection materials going from 40 to 60.
Right.
So I only got 2% in the rest of the lines. So I mean, obviously, I'm okay with the 2% for the rest of the lines. My question was just the twofold. Are we still gonna be buying books when we gotta move them twice? And, you know, we don't need the person until we figure out what we're gonna have when we get in the new building. But we gotta be ready.
But
I
we might
agree.
need part of a person, because I do get the whole two-tiered concept.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're pretty thin.
Okay, we've been long enough on this topic, let's move on.
So for Bev's case, can we say that we're not gonna have the person, but leave everything else alone for today?
I'm fine with that.
Everybody okay with that?
I am.
So the dollar impact,
Is the 56,439. So now,
What's the total budget gonna be?
of this one, is 467,000, so it drops down to 411.
466.
That's a 6% increase, but it's collection materials.
Yeah, okay.
Majority is collection
All right.
materials.
okay?
Okay, moving on, senior citizens, do we have any senior citizens here from the Department of Senior Citizens? If not, Culture and Arts? Culture and Arts, anybody here on them? Willow Creek Golf Course. I see Brian's here. Does anybody have any questions on the Willow Creek Golf Course budget?
Page 52.
52.
And revenue meets expenditures, so
Any questions?
you're comfortable with the revenue, Brian?
So what's the question for 25,000? What are we thinking we're gonna buy with the 25,000?
On the equipment, you mean?
Yeah,
We're looking at replacing one of our rough mowers
okay,
and probably doing some type of a lease, 3-4 year lease program. New one straight off is probably 80 to 90,000. And so we can break it up a little bit, pay for it over a couple of years, or replace one of our, we have one that's a 2001, and the other model we have is a 2002, so both of them are, and they're starting to nickel and dime us.
that's the rough mower that's that old?
Yep.
Okay. And is that something that can be bought on the used market? Can we go up to Sioux Center and get their one-year-old one? I mean,
Yes.
Orange City?
Well,
Somebody like that overspends their budget all the time?
either one, both of those courses have the 11-foot model,
Okay,
and the one we're looking at replacing is a 16-foot model.
so do you have to go to Sioux City?
We can go to the area.
Okay. But there-
Somewhere, there's multiple ones around. We've looked a little bit on the internet. We're just trying to update it.
Okay.
I think the one year we went down to Missouri.
Yeah, I think it was Craigslist, wasn't
Orange and purple snappy puppies.
it? Wasn't it Craigslist? or
Okay.
something like that?
2001 or the 2002?
But I think a big thing is, Brian, if Brian's comfortable with the revenue, it supports the expenditures.
Yeah, but the revenues, it was a good year this year, right? Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any of those nasty things called water or whatever. So it was a good year. Okay, and it's working out good with your assistant superintendent and all that kind of stuff, and people are still showing up, and
Playing golf, huh?
And the new programs.
we got new programs to set
Yeah,
up, monthly
that's
pay and stuff
helped.
like
That's
that.
helped,
We
yeah.
got a few people on that?
Yeah, I think we did 12, we had 12 of them start the first of the year. We ended up with 27 auto pays last year, and then I think, for the most part, the reason why we didn't have 27 roll right overs, they just, they want to pay for it when they play.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do it for 8 months, instead of maybe, the 11 months we gave them the opportunity to. I've already talked to 2 people that came up to me and just around town, said, hey, I forgot to turn in my information, can we just do it in April again? I mean, they're more than happy to pay $70 a month
Okay.
Compared to paying $700 over, right away April 1st, they'd rather just pay for it for 8 months and we'd be done with that.
So you got any other new ideas up your sleeve, or everything else is pretty much status quo?
So we're working on a couple things.
You allow pay by month, huh? I didn't know. Curiosity question for Scott and Rex, is there any fallout from changing this from an enterprise fund to a general? I mean,
It isn't an
Yeah,
enterprise.
look on
No, I know that.
page
Changing it
52, under the fund balance.
Right.
And that was gonna be my only comment. Because of that switch from the enterprise fund to the general fund, we gotta make up that deficit of 195,
Okay.
195,000.
But that's the forever deficit.
Yep.
That's not a 1 year.
No, it's a
It's
5-year
not an
deal.
ongoing thing.
Okay.
It's a
But
5-year
with
deal.
accumulation over a multiple years under enterprise,
We need to make that up.
we now have to make that up,
Okay. I was
just so you know.
Okay?
But otherwise, the budget looks good to me. Good, Steve?
Okay?
Yep. Okay.
All right, thanks, Brian. Moving on, the next area is public safety. And the Public Safety Committee is Ken Nelson and Steve Wick. First one on the public safety is a guy by the name of Dave, the fire chief. Anybody got any questions for Dave?
Page 43.
Page 43.
I've got somebody calling me.
You're up, Dave.
43.
Questions for Dave?
Yeah, the $74,000 revenue, I don't see that in the top part. Is that in there?
Pardon me?
It says the confined space revenue is gonna be offsetting the $74,000 person, and I don't see no $74,000 increase in revenue.
What's the salary side?
Not the benefit.
Mark Barlow, Mark, they're looking for a temporary, Highway 75, 38, you don't mind
So the revenue's not, the revenue, the.
What we projected is, if everybody got on board with the confined space program, there'd be $87,000 coming in right now. And that's not the total amount of facilities listed yet. We just had some Sioux County folks come down and ask us to help us with their confined space issues also. One thing the fire rescue department is not just fire rescue. Okay, we do fires, but we do rescue, we do confined space, we do trench rescue, water rescue, high angle rescue, tornadoes, train accidents, car accidents. Basically, we're an all hazard department. It's changed over the years. Anything that you would not normally call law enforcement for, you end up calling fire rescue, and now we're involved with meth labs, we're involved with active shooter, we're involved with bomb threats, terrorism, and things like that. So what I've tried to do is come up with a way to fund a staff person to be able to use them 365 days here in Lamar's, but let some other type of program pay for it other than taxes, okay? So what we've looked at is generating revenue through this confined space program to offset that position. I can tell you now there's enough to offset the salary, all right?
Which is?
45 to 50,000.
Got it, keep going.
Okay? The benefit package, there might be enough to offset that, there might be double what I'm thinking. I think we're kind of sitting on a golden egg here because this confined space program, there's not a lot of cities that can do it. And I'm just looking out 20 miles. Hinton's looking for somebody for their elevator. We have the ethanol plant in Merrill. The ethanol plant in Sioux Center has now approached us. Diamond Vogel in Orange City, the Akron elevator, the Remsen elevator. Everybody by OSHA law has to write down a rescue team now. And by law, we can charge for that. So let those folks pay for that person, pay for that equipment, but then we have the benefit of using that person 365 days a year for whatever we need, and it's offset by that added revenue. So,
what's
if you don't want the person, then you have to pull about 50 grand of revenue out of that account right
The
now.
194,000 includes 50 grand?
Yes. Okay, so of our revenue, we have the rural taxes, and then we have fire service fees, which is confined space fees, inspection fees, fire emergency response fees and calls, classes that we put on. So You can pull the person and you can pull the revenue, that still doesn't help the $600,000 shortfall. Okay?
Well, it helps by 25 grand, but it's gonna be a temporary thing, is what you're telling me.
Right, and I really believe we'll bring in more than that, I really do, but until we get somebody that can go around and actually physically meet with all these folks and get the contracts signed, I don't know what that number could be.
So if Sioux Center Elevator wants to sign you up, they have a written contract per year with you for how many dollars?
It depends on how many confined spaces they have. I'm copying what's been done in Muscatine, Fort Dodge, probably $4,500.
$4,500 a year.
A year?
And if- yeah,
Every year, every year.
Every year, so, and if they don't have you, but call you,
It's $3,000 an hour.
it's $3,000
So they could
an hour.
spend 3 years of contract fee in one call.
Right.
So what assurances are we that we'll get this confined space revenue and that we continue to get it every year? What if we don't get it next year, for instance, and now we've got a full-time?
They have to, John, the only insurance I can give you, sir, is they have to contract with somebody by OSHA law. And there's no other departments doing that. They don't have the equipment, they don't have the staff, and they don't have the training. Because all these departments are smaller volunteer departments that train once a month on putting out fires.
I thought you said they could pay by the hour, though. So they're not, if I'm paying by the hour, because I called you, I'm not contracting.
That's in an emergency where you're gonna have a contract with me.
But
You're
you're
gonna
saying
pay
these businesses
$3,000.
are by OSHA law required.
Required to write somebody down. So what will happen is if I go to an elevator or something and say, here's the program we offer, they don't want to sign us up, then there will be a call to OSHA to follow up with them to make sure we're not on the list. But they have to write somebody down.
What if we go to start with a contract service? And then if it works out and we can justify a full-time person, then we look at it in the next budget, for instance. But start out, hire somebody to do this, get these people to sign up for the confined space and need, and if it works out good and we're getting that kind of money, then we can look at it.
Well, I've had a verbal commitment of 22.5 already from about 5 businesses is all on the list that I have of the 87,000. It's just, I don't have time to run around to all these places and go meet with these folks and spend a month on the road. This new person would do that, they'd be in charge of the billing, collecting the money. I'm not gonna put any more work, I'm not gonna ask for a secretary. We do all our own billing in-house, we bring the checks over and hand them to Bev.
But I'm saying is, what if we contract this service to start with? Because then they can be here, we pay them, and they
Who are you
can
gonna
walk away, and we
contract-
don't
who are you
have
gonna-
any fixed expenses.
Who are you gonna contract?
You'll be paying a contract fee for somebody to do it.
Right, but I'm saying is you don't have that expense for year after year after year. If something doesn't work out, if you.
Well, the problem is, we gotta be able to provide a better service than what we're providing now. So if we're gonna go take their money, we better be able to have the service to provide them, especially if we're going to Hinton, or we're going to Merrill, or we're going to Akron, or we're going to Orange City. I need the guy to go around and meet with those folks and get their maps and be a contact person to help do their training. We've also got plumbers here in town that are looking for that type of training now. Prime example, we had a sewer main break at Brentwood underground. The plumbers have to go down in the hole, well, that's a confined space hole, so they can't go in there. So they actually found one plumber that's confined space certified, and we provided some people so they could go fix a sewer pipe at Brentwood. What I also want to do with this person then would be offset our manpower and deployment for all the calls we're having. Right now, there's an accident out on the highway, that certain calls, we won't have to call in our volunteers all the time. And we've already started that process so that we keep the street department people at work and we keep the private business people at work because we have another set of hands to handle smaller calls. Look at our deployment processes, and that's what we've started to do. We've started to not make a general alarm, so to speak, where we call everybody in for every call. And that would help with that too. So that's all I'm trying to do.
So what if?
You won't have a lot of people probably come in and say, here, I want to hire a guy and here's the salary.
Is
That's all I'm
there,
trying
is
to
by
do.
law, is there a distance that you can and cannot go?
No. But I would say,
What would you feel comfortable? with?
theoretically, I would say within 30 miles.
30?
Who's
You
your
know.
competition?
Basically, they'd have to call Sioux City,
Sioux
and
City.
Sioux City does not contract, but they will charge you a fee to come out.
So are you more inclined to this position or the pumper truck? What if we said, nope, you don't get a dime for a pumper truck this year if we're gonna give you the person? Are you gonna really yell or just kinda yell?
Well, I could tell you why I need the truck too, if you.
Oh, well, you got, no, but you
Well,
got a 22 and 23-year-old one, but we've spent $1 million on you in the past 4 years. trying to upgrade equipment, and I'm just wondering if we could delay that a year to get this thing under control. And I'm just picking on you, I
No,
know.
I'm gonna explain to you the truck then. I put 245 in the budget, I need 95. You can have 150,000 back tonight towards your $600,000 shortfall.
Okay.
I finally got through with the truck company and stuff. If we buy the chassis, that's all we need to do, and then we pay for it when the truck is built a year from this July. So that would be in the total next budget year, Rex, and it won't be the 150 because I've got 2 trucks to trade or sell. So it won't even be that amount.
So you're saying what's the net cost increase?
You can do a 90 versus a
I can
240.
do a 95,000 versus a 245,000 right now tonight. And then we pay for the remainder of the truck next budget session, and it will be less than that 150 we're saving tonight on top of it, so that will save money in the next budget session because I have 2 trucks to sell or trade in. And you guys know how we did that the last time. We were able to sell that rescue truck for about 40,000 more than trade-in value, which helped out too.
And you can't get a 70 on confined space right now because you don't feel comfortable with 70 tonight.
I can't get what I'm
You
saying.
don't feel comfortable with putting 70 in the revenue line for confined space because we got a 70 grand person.
I'll do it.
I mean, do you do it because you're sitting here, or do you do it because you feel like, yeah, it can happen because I know how many people are out there that are gonna need this kind of a case. They're gonna need the contracts for this one. So I gotta get 20 contracts out there at 3,500 apiece.
4,500, but, you know, I don't know how many are out there, Rex.
Okay.
I've given you 87,000 if everybody got on board right now with the list I have.
Okay?
But that does not include the stuff in Sioux Center. I don't know how many places in Sioux Center there are that have confined spaces.
You have, I mean, the one reason I wanted personnel separated versus just cut all four is because you have me on board with an extra guy because you've convinced me, but to be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. I'm sticking my neck out because you're telling me you're gonna go get $80,000 worth of, you can pay for your people. That's very impressive, and I like that. So.
See, and that's what I'm saying is, my statement a half hour ago was, let's just take it out. Then let's come to the committee with your list of ones, the ones that say yes, the ones that are probable, and then we're gonna sit there and we're gonna adjust the budget.
Yeah.
If we think the 75 can be covered.
I understand that, it's just the point of going to those people.
I know.
And I know you know.
But you know the list of people, and you know possible, probable, maybe. You could do that tonight before you went to bed, I bet you. You're just a little nervous, because again, you only got 22% of revenue in for 5 months this year. But you know, most of it comes in the first part of the year, all that kind of stuff. We understand how that works.
My revenue is at 108 right now, as of today. 108,880.
How do you go from 31 to 108, Beth?
That was back in November, your book. I'm at 108,800 for revenue as of tonight.
Okay.
And one more comment on my concern about a full-time position. You're committed. Once you're in the full-time, you're committed to the benefits, et cetera. What if Sioux Center or Orange City figures out, hey, see what Lamar's is doing, that's a pretty good deal. Let's us go around and get people signed up.
They'd have to do all the training, and they'd have to have full-time people to probably do
I
that.
think it's a little tougher than
It's
that.
not that easy.
What about Sioux City?
It's not
Well,
that
Sioux
easy.
City can only go so far.
Sioux City's gonna have one.
Yeah.
Sioux City's gonna have it.
Well,
Sioux
they
City-
already do. They already do.
Sioux City does it already.
They do it already.
They do not contract for confined space. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's a way to offset. It's a way to, you know, I'm trying to help with the budget. I'm a taxpayer too. There's $118,000 that we're not asking for tonight in capital improvement items that we've already acquired through donations, you know? So we don't come in here, I got big things. That's what we come in here for. I don't come in for little stuff. It's the big stuff, the trucks.
Oh, you-
Engine 5
You
is
follow
23
you
years
follow
old.
your dad exactly.
Yeah, engine 5's 23 years old, the pump died on it. I talked to Scott in July, we patched it to get us by. I've got a truck over there, I will not put at a house fire with somebody inside a building because it's patched, because it's 23 years old. I don't want to stick $30,000 into it. And if we were to place both trucks, you're looking at $630,000. I think we can make a combo truck for $245,000. Again, the deployment thing, the manpower thing, I think that's the way to go with this, to get rid of 2 trucks and buy one. And it saves $150,000 right now if you just wanted to buy the
right,
chassis.
we gotta keep
It's up to you.
Can I have one question? Every person that needs this confined space coverage will not pay you $4,500, is that true?
That's true. Depends on number of spaces.
Thank
So
you.
I've copied Muscatine, Fort Dodge, Cedar Falls, all these different communities that have implemented this. It's $1,500 up to 10 spaces, and then $300 more per space after 10 to a cap of $4,500.
Thank you.
There's one thing I want to clear though here, and that we need to take a look at, I think. And that is, there's $145,000 that we can take out of this for a truck,
150.
or 150. There's still another 95 in there, but that 95, I think, is worth buying the chassis this year, because you ain't gonna have to pay that other till a year from now.
Yeah, and whatever you guys want to do with the person, Rex, I know it's not personal, I'm trying to help with the budget. I'm trying to get to where we don't have to call everybody in all the time, so
Yeah.
we've got a few of us to
I
handle.
want-
I want all those
And
things too.
that's all we're trying to do.
I want to make one comment. This is the only department that has a revenue source,
Yes.
and he picked up another revenue source. If the library come in here and said we could raise $80,000 by
fees.
doing such and such and such and such, we'd jump all over it. So I mean, let's
So,
not,
yeah.
just because we say we're not going to hire personnel, let's not get locked in on that.
So if we put the 245,000 down to 95,000, then that commits us to 95,000 for the next fiscal year as well, right? Is that what we're talking about, 95 this
in
coming
rough
fiscal year,
terms.
and 95 the next fiscal year?
No, what it is the truck is 245. You only got to buy the chassis for 95. And then next year, we'd have to finish the balance at 150, but it won't be that much because I can trade them in or sell
You
those
got
two
two
trucks
trucks.
outright. I can't give you a total number on
You
that
need to
because
take
I
a look
haven't
at
been
that.
able to go pound the streets for that because I don't
Might
want
be
to.
120 or something, John, because
Yeah.
you're gonna get 15 or 20 out of the.
Okay, so if we do that change there, and then do we put 70,000 more in revenue?
No, he's already got 50 in revenue. The question is, do we wanna put 20 in there, against Dave? Or do we just wanna pull it out both sides right now and then deal with it? Or is there anything else in his budget? And I don't see anything else in his budget.
No, that actually, my budget's actually gone down because the only line items, I had a vehicle maintenance line item that went up $2,000 and my operating dropped 4.
And Bev, you feel comfortable that there's 50 in there for the confined space out of the number with the 108 now that he's got in? He's still gonna get to 146 like he said in the budget? I mean, is that what you're looking at? We're gonna get to 146 for 17 for the next 5 months? You're at 108,
No, my budget that I estimated for this year
So
was
it's
at
one-
194.
It's 146.
146.
no, I'm talking about getting to the 146.
This year?
Yeah, are we gonna get to the 146? We're at 108.
Yeah,
Are we gonna get 38 the next 5 months?
absolutely.
Okay, so then if I got 146, I go to 194, I got 48 for the person, basically,
Right.
okay? That compares to 74 of expense, I got 26 that I'm short.
I'm just offering you a salary. If you give me the benefit package, maybe it'll bring in double the salary, I don't know.
We've spent enough time on this, let's get to the bottom of it.
Well, that's why, once again, I'm gonna repeat what I said before, I really think 5 minutes, and I know we went longer than that here,
Thank you.
but 5 minutes is not enough time.
It's real tough.
To do a decent job.
Exactly.
Of evaluating whether we hire this person or not.
No.
So Dave, I know you don't wanna hear that, but that's where I'm at. I think it's a mistake to decide today or during this budget period for people. I would take them all out like Rex had said initially. And each of those departments can bring their justification to us. We will take it through the committee, and the committee can thoroughly analyze this. Is it good, bad, or indifferent? And bring the numbers.
Got more time.
Yep,
Prove it in numbers.
Yep.
And we'll bring the full package back to the full council.
sounds good.
Thank you, Scott.
That's what I think.
Which then puts the budget down to the 144.8, because you don't have to come up with the 50.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta take that revenue out.
You're
'cause that guy was gonna
you're
get that
taking the
for us.
revenue out, you're taking the 74,182 out, so that's gonna be a $24,000 savings on top of the 150. That's the two changes for tonight. But I
Are you
agree,
leaving the 100 in?
You took
For
the 50
95?
out, right?
I took the 50
50
out, I
revenue.
took the 74 out, that's a $24,000 savings, because I don't have to pay benefits on the guy. okay?
So that's
And I took-
74 plus 150 I just gave you back then,
Right, right. And I took 50
out of the
against it.
600.
And I took 50 against it.
But what about the fire truck?
I got the 90 left in there. He
Okay.
gets to buy a chassis.
That's all I care.
95.
He gets to buy a chassis
That makes
as of
sense.
5/18.
Okay,
Okay.
let's go.
Anything else?
No, no.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Chief.
Next one in the public safety is a guy by the name of Bill.
Rosacker.
Anybody got any questions for Rosacker? I didn't think so.
I heard he was gonna give us some money back, so has he got savings, we'd appreciate it.
I am, I'm gonna give $25,000.
Yeah, see, go,
I thought it was 30 a month. I thought it was 30.
he rounded.
The mayor, well, that's fine.
You sure it wasn't 50?
No, positive. No, we ended up buying the Life Pack 15 out of fiscal year 17 versus budgeting it out of 18, because we saved 14,000 by buying it now versus next year, so.
Oh, man. Got that, Bev, take 25 off.
We would still like to have the second half of our ambulance if I could.
Is that the wheels and tires, or is that just, is that the cab?
Actually, the cab.
No motor?
It's got a squirrel running in
Okay,
it.
any other questions for Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Rosario.
You bet.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Next one is Stewart, Police Department.
Bill, you
Nelson and Wick.
yielded his time.
Yield the time, yeah, he yielded time.
I agree with Scott about hashing the personnel issue over at another meeting where we can sit across the table and just have a conversation about our needs and then come back to the council then.
Anybody got any questions
Yeah,
for
mine
Stewart?
can. You guys-
I think your budget looks reasonable compared to this year's budget, I think it looks reasonable.
So just for tonight, for budget, we're gonna pull out then this full-time police secretary. Just like we do with everybody else. We're pulling it out, we're
And we'll
gonna
have that
discuss it.
discussion later.
And we're gonna discuss it later, so that's 58,330. You still need a police car, you still need radar, bulletproof vest, any of that kind of stuff that.
The bulletproof vest, our guys did some research and you can cut that in half.
Okay,
Good.
we appreciate that.
That $8,000 has been reduced to just shy of $4,000. We found a different product that actually performs better, it weighs a little bit more, and the officers are real excited about trying that.
Okay,
Way to go.
so that's a whopping 62 off the police total, right?
Where's that 8,000 at, Stu?
It's on the
It's under
second
capital.
page.
Oh, it's second page. Gotcha.
The details on the next page, 42A. Anything else that you want to revisit with your budget that,
Boy, I didn't have a lot of significant changes. As far as increases goes, I think we just nudged it a little bit on contract services. And with that, I was just thinking about some of our real large snowfalls, if we have to contract with somebody to move snow away from our building with the change in the way we're doing things citywide. And vehicle supplies, the vehicles we're driving now, the tires are just a little bit more expensive. So we added another 1,000 there, just for tires. That's about the only changes that I've got in my regular budget.
Any other questions for Stu?
Do you want to explain the shotguns?
You know, I really want to take the opportunity to explain this better, and we are adding to every patrol car what is called a less lethal shotgun. And this shotgun shoots a beanbag. It doesn't shoot a lead slug, it shoots a bag. And it's like getting hit with as hard a punch as you can imagine. And this is a less lethal option that the officers will have available to them right there instead of strictly a lethal option. This is about not taking somebody's life. And that's the business that we're in.
cool.
And yet you said you could do it from a greater distance than a typical.
Than a taser.
Taser.
Oh, absolutely. We could have an officer shoot the length of this room with a beanbag. and be effective and
Why is he
control that
pointing at me?
situation.
It's budget
You got all these people voting for that.
You've been doing right.
He was talking real big about helping me out.
I knew it would help.
Well, Rick's been doing a lot of talking tonight, no reason to point at him.
That's why we're taking our existing shotguns, and we're converting them to less lethal.
Cool.
Our own gunsmith here in town, Schmitz Custom Arms, is doing that for us.
Did I mention
And then
this?
these will replace the old.
I was gonna ask, I thought about that.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
That's it.
Stu, if you don't mind, could I just interject?
Absolutely.
Because back in the day, when I was with the police department, quite honestly, I was fully responsible for the purchase of the existing shotguns. They were relatively, I don't want to say inexpensive, but they were middle of the road. Well, about a year after the purchase, they through lots of testing of, larger agencies. I mean, you're talking New York, Chicago, LAPD. It was strongly recommended that the shotguns that we purchased did not shoot full power loads such as full power buckshot or slugs. Now, this was probably 15 to 20 years ago, and we were able to limp along. And the reason is the shooting the larger, heavier loads were going to destroy the internal parts. I talked with Stu about a week ago, and he says that's exactly what's happening.
They're falling apart.
They're falling apart,
Okay.
but these guns can be rebuilt to shoot a substantially lighter load, which is gonna be the less lethal.
Good stuff.
We're not gonna have near the destruction, hardly little or no
Good
destruction.
move. Good stuff and good information.
Anything else for Stu?
Please print that stuff. Make an article of this stuff in the paper sometime.
Yeah.
So that people can get it. Because this is good stuff.
Going back to my communication, here's a good example of it. Somebody else have a question for Stu?
Thank you.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I overlooked one person here, and I apologize, but going back to community services, we've got what we call a convention CBV, or CVB, and that's Jessica that's in charge of that. Has anybody got any questions for Jessica? As far as tourism or anything else?
What page?
54.
One
Actually,
question.
there's several pages, 53, 54, and 55.
She's got quite a budget.
What do you mean? She's got a handful.
On page 53, the convention center, it looks like are we reallocating people for the clean? It looks like the salaries went up partially, and the contract services for cleaning are gone. So
Yes, our contract custodian of many years retired this last year, and we moved, Alice over to take care of convention.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Jessica, in committee, you had some concerns about some maintenance. Is that being handled? Because I looked at it Saturday night on that floor. Is that something we're going to be able to handle internally with the sinking of some of the tiles and stuff?
No, we're gonna contract that to a contractor.
Is that part of this, or?
No.
No, because it has to be done now.
We got to do it.
I figured it was fairly immediate.
It's a
so-
problem today.
All right, good enough, that's all. I just didn't want to drop.
Thank you, Jessica. Sorry I overlooked that, going through the program here. Okay, the next one is Public Works, and Public Works is Knapp and Nelson. Scott, is he here? Yeah, there he is. Anybody got any questions for Scott? He's still plowing snow out
What
there.
page is that one again?
45.
Scott and Brad, yeah. Brad, we come up together.
Because we're running out of time,
We're
you don't
running
get
out
your
of time.
person either.
Yeah.
Just in case you're requesting that. You don't get a person either, but you can come back.
We'll
and
talk about that later.
You can argue your case later.
Scott got the message, didn't he?
But 67,361's going away.
First of all, thank you also for getting the streets how they are in
Yeah.
today and yesterday. It's
been
good to get
tough.
them drivable again.
Appreciate that.
One thing on 45 and 46, with the equipment, can we do half next fiscal year and the other half the next fiscal year?
For what equipment?
I'm looking at
On
machinery and equipment on street maintenance, and then also machinery and equipment on public facilities.
Well, on ours, you know, we got, 4 lease payments,
Right?
and then that $70,000 for that food study.
Yeah, the 70,000, John, we talked about getting it done this year.
Well, and that's,
Did we get it done?
no, Jason did call me, and just to let you know, I've been through the United States over the internet here a million times, but I think I found 2, and I'm down to about 40,000
In the US.
in the US. So,
What are you buying?
a
Tell them
boom
what you're
truck.
buying.
It's a 1991 bucket truck that we
It's-
cut trees.
Oh, that's
with.
a bucket truck, yeah.
He's got a bucket truck, John, and it's
Yeah.
got 17 items that are
Well, I got a
potentially
whole-
deficient?
So we're talking about that we can handle it with this year's, with the
Yes.
16-17 budget?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 70,000.
So it pulls the whole 70 out of the budget.
Okay.
Doesn't even do half and half, just pulls it out, because we're gonna spend 40,
I think
45.
it's at 40, yeah, right in that.
And that's on public facilities or streets?
Streets.
That's on streets. That's the one that takes down the Christmas lights. That's why there's still some Christmas lights up on Williams and Company Street.
Remember, you gotta drive by, pick out your.
No, bring that up now.
Okay.
Are those the ones we're supposed to check out?
Yes, there's, we put up 4 more Christmas lights on First Avenue West.
First Avenue,
by
out in front of Williams and
and
Company.
Sears.
Yeah.
So if you guys wanna drive by, we put, one still got the white incandescent bulb, and then there's 4 different colors of a white, or 3 different colors of a white that are an LED. There's been some concern about, some people don't like the color, you know, they weren't with what we've been getting, so Minnesota up there, Display Sales sent me some bulbs to try. We put them together, we put them up yesterday. So we'd like you guys to drive down that street here tonight. Jessica would like you to get it done tonight. 'Cause
So
she knows.
Jessica, so which one do you like, since you know a lot better than guys? Yes, you do.
She didn't drive by yet.
They need to be brighter than they have been, let's be honest.
They're not bright enough.
No, but so seriously, drive by
But are
tonight.
do you think that the new bulbs that they sent you are brighter? Can you tell?
Well, one blew a fuse last night, so it wasn't lit. So we had to move it to another pole. So they should all 4 be lit tonight, but I kinda got my favorite. I mean, what I like, but
So you have the poles numbered, so we can say 4 or?
Murphy Collins, I think the other one's by Sherwin-Williams. And down by Sears, there should be 2. So I mean, no, they're not numbered.
Okay, so it's on that, it's on First.
First, yeah. 1 block north of Plymouth, 1 block south of
So
Plymouth.
these are just test lights, so when people call and say, why aren't our Christmas lights down yet, we can tell them this is.
You can
the
tell them
case.
we're,
Very
yeah,
good.
we're,
And which ones do they like? They-
yeah,
okay.
we need to know ASAP.
Department got the calendar mixed up.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that to me today.
I saw them this morning, and I was going, what the heck, did the truck really break down? Because there's just a couple left.
Okay, so we
The boom fell off.
we pull the one full-time position until pending further discussion, correct?
Yes.
And what do we change as far as,
70 grand goes away.
70,000 goes away for equipment?
Yep.
Yes.
One of the things we discussed in committee, that like the shotguns, I thought was interesting, but we're talking about eliminating the stoplights on Central and First Street.
Yep.
And Plymouth and First
And
Avenue.
Plymouth and First.
We're eliminating 2 sets of stoplights.
Right.
So that we
You
only have
guys
the
kind of,
one.
and just to update you quick, but I got $5,000 in there to update those LEDs, because you can see if you drive by, some of the pixels are starting to go out. So it's better to replace them all at once if you're gonna do it, because otherwise we're coming down how many days we don't, you're replacing light here, light here, light here. And back when I first started, when we had the incandescents in, we were taking care of those in, all the time, but you know, since we put the LEDs in, we hardly come down and deal with it. But I did let Scott know that at First Avenue by Sherwin-Williams, and down here by the old pantry, First Street and North Central, those controllers were put in 1991. In 2007, they were obsolete. You can't even get a part for them anymore. And that's what you found out like 2 years ago down over here by the Pizza Ranch, when that light had to flash for a month. We had to wait for parts. That's what you're gonna have to do if these would go down, and it's gonna cost you about another $20,000 per intersection. Each.
Yeah.
So
Besides the lights.
Ken brought up that, hey, what about First Street North? And I thought about it, never brought it up too, and it's like, okay, I think that's a good thing. Why do we have it? Eliminate it. I'm bringing up, why do we got 2 stoplights within 1 block? Is my biggest complaint that I hear. And the biggest thing is when we have a train, you got traffic backed up, because it's a 60-second timer, so every 30 seconds, it rotates. There's no...
Which is 1 or 2 semis.
And you can't make that intersection. So, something to maybe bring up at council meeting, if it's gonna put on the agenda, I think we need to look at it.
So we're gonna take out the lights for next year, because if we're gonna put them back in, we're gonna have to actually decide to leave the lights in. So let's take the lights out at $5,000, let's take the 70 grand out, and let's take the person out, and then let's try to figure out how to get the restrooms to stay cleaner. But that's a whole nother conversation, okay? Because the restrooms out there and down here are not staying clean enough.
One other question on the additional labor we allocated to convention center, is that reflected, which budget would be, that would be reflected in as far as a reduction in labor? Now, if we move part of this person's labor to the convention center, what, is it one of these 2 departments that we're gonna see a reduction in labor?
That's already occurred.
That's occurred, that's done.
That's past tense.
That was done in this year's budget.
But I'm seeing dollars in the convention center budget, increasing dollars.
Some of, she was split water, wastewater,
Okay, but,
several budgets.
okay, whatever it is, it's
We
reflected.
had a year there where we tried
Didn't know where.
splitting that 4 ways, sewer, water,
Yeah. That
convention,
was a year ago.
and public
Park.
works. So
Okay.
we're not doing that anymore.
Okay,
That didn't work.
okay.
Questions,
That was a
Scott?
trial.
Did you say something over by the pantry, those lights?
Yep.
Yeah.
Those-
You got
those would
Central
come out?
Avenue that we just redid, that intersection, 1 block north, 1 block west. Those 2 traffic lights.
Both of them would go.
What, you gonna put stop signs there?
We would put stop signs where the approaching traffic coming up to Central
Okay.
would stop and look and cross.
Okay, I just,
Same.
Almost like staff, this issue's gotta go to the public works committee,
yeah,
I feel.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
We're
okay,
just, we're just bringing it up because we've got the $5,000 for lights, we gotta pull out the lights,
good.
Yeah.
right?
Any other questions?
Because we don't think there's any reason for the lights out of
Really,
committee.
there's good news in all this. It sounds like bad news, but it's good news. We use 10 more years after obsolescence out of those 2 locations.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Yep. Good job.
Somebody was looking down on us, I swear.
Any questions for Brad? Any questions for Brad?
Knock on wood, right?
Yeah, we should have talked about it.
None?
I don't think we got anything else right now, do we?
All right,
Do you guys have anything?
No.
all right.
For us, Brad.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, boys. Moving on, along that line, I'm gonna move up to airport, which Tom is here. Any questions in regard to the airport?
No.
For Tom? That didn't take long, Tom.
I think we're good.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, moving on to utilities.
It does help you to be here, I hate to say
Yeah.
that, but if you're not here, you could get in trouble.
Moving on to utilities, which is Ken Nelson and Clark Goodchild. Gail?
Where is airport?
Airport
Got
is-
it, 57.
Yeah.
Just don't leave yet, I haven't
What
looked
number
at
do
it
you
yet.
say?
That's in the enterprise fund, so.
Now it's under the enterprise tab, and waste, water is 81 through 83.
Did you get that, Clark?
Hey,
81 through 83.
I'm still on airport.
I got it cooled down.
so how we doing, Gail? Good?
Any questions for Gail?
Nope, we're doing really good. The only thing in there and stuff, we put back a lift, you know, that we did have and stuff and was needed in another spot. So we tried to take some of the equipment, you know, to do town and stuff, you know, and have things fixed and different things. And we were finding out that especially with the new help we got some more people that are very mechanically minded and stuff. It was more convenient to have us do it instead of having 2 guys go down, go pick it up and stuff. We were doing it at a cheaper rate ourselves. The only problem is we're doing it with jacks and stands, and I think they need to have a little more safety factor into that, so we would like to put that back in there. for that reason. We do have down in there 6,500, I think, that's probably a little stupid, probably, I think it's around 5,700, somewhere in there is what it would cost to get it there, and then we put it back up ourselves.
Okay.
So that's a grand. Take it off, Bill. Take the grand.
And the salaries?
The 1/3 cost of the suck back, everybody's on board with that?
Yep.
22,000 every place?
Yep.
Right?
And the salaries went from 273 to 345, 346?
Yeah, we did, since we did, this last year, we hired 3 individuals. One was to replace one that has been let go, so that's, 2 more. This next year, actually in this next budget year, I will be there for 3 to 4 weeks. After that, I will be gone. So as you were talking about adding people to it, then that's an implement of 1 person from what we had, more or less then. So that would be talked at another date for my replacement.
So there's no additional?
There's no additional.
Okay.
One over the year before, but that's already in this year, so.
I think if you look at the year-to-date one, John, you can see it's 44%, and the physical year is 42% for the 5 months, so he's already at that budget, or approximately that budget.
And that pretty much reflects what was in 15.
But the deal was is we didn't have anybody that could go and fix the brakes. We had
We've had
too
3
many
main
people.
breaks already this year that we've done ourselves, had no outside help. And several of the jobs and stuff we've helped with the people we have now. Within 4 or 5 days, we did a 2-block area ourselves and stuff, and you've seen some of the help and stuff that we have had, not putting anything against that, but I think it's advantageous and stuff to see what we can do and get done ourselves again, which is, a savings to the city.
Okay, any other questions for Gail? Oh, but Scott, go ahead.
Just a comment, the 300,000 under improvements is improvements that lie outside of the urban renewal area. A previous motion on your part gave me the authority to pay for water system extensions and improvements that are inside the urban renewal with TIF revenue. You recall that? And so what you see here is improvements in main extensions, and that's why he's got listed K&S and First and Lincoln and that kind of thing. Those happen to fall outside the urban renewal, and therefore they're not eligible for TIF. So I wanted you to realize that. And the second thing is, I want to just remind you that we're going to come back to council at a later date with justification on raising rates, just like we mentioned at the first meeting in January, raising rates by 3% over a 3-year period.
Right, that's not raising rates like 40% like Sioux City is talking about or whatever.
That's the reason we're doing it every year.
We're gonna do it on very small incremental steps, just to keep up with the fact that we need to pay for these bills.
And then the other thing, Scott, that I had noticed, with your council meeting and stuff tonight, that white topping on Central, it might be something that you're gonna look at, because all the way down along Central, we have an 8-inch main out in the street again. So it might be advantageous before that to look at maybe replacing some of that 8-inch main to get that out from underneath there, because there's older houses, there's older services, and I sure hate to see that new white topping, and these start getting leaks in some of these homes, so they are digging, they'll have to cut out the new street and everything else too. So it's something you may want to look at, too.
We know what that's like.
Take into effect.
Okay.
Messing with white topping.
Yeah, but that was the plan on 75, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We just achieved it. A little bit.
Good job.
Anything else? All right.
Were you talking about the white guys?
Okay. One other quick comment on water. If you look on page 83, that's the debt service, and specifically the water sinking fund. By FY19, we're going to have the 2012 refunding paid off. That's good news.
Great. Good news, Scott, thanks. Okay, moving on to the next one is Ron on wastewater, solid waste.
Water is 77 through 80.
did forget to put the third of the back machine on his equipment line. It's on the equipment page, but it's not on this page, so. 22,650 needs to be on.
So it's in the budget, it's just not in the budget on these pages.
Okay, so
It's on the front page, but not on this
front page,
It's on the very front when you go and say that you spend 900,000 on them.
but we should be adding on page 77.
Assets. But it's not on the pages we're looking at.
22,650 under machinery equipment.
God,
Anybody questions for Ron?
caught you on something. No. How's the plant
I haven't
working?
got a lot of changes on mine.
How's it working? Everything
I just,
working?
How's everything working?
That was, everything's working pretty good, but that's part of what I was gonna talk to you about, the plant. You know, my expenses have gone up a little bit, but like I told Scott, and Scott knows this, we have always rebuilt this plant every 7 years since it's been built. And the last time it was rebuilt was '05. So we're doing pretty good.
05 plus 7, that's kind of on borrowed time.
Yeah, well,
We really
we're
haven't-
staying ahead of it.
You gotta
You'll see
replace the dome.
some of the expenses are up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's because we do the maintenance. We try and stay ahead of it.
But we look at page 80 and we can see our debts are getting paid too on it, isn't it?
I got no questions.
Yes, my same three comments for this enterprise as is water. The 400,000 under improvements are once again outside the urban renewal, and TIF will pay for inside. We do think that we're going to be bringing back before you rate increases in a 3-year fashion. And then thirdly, what Rex just commented on, if you look on page 80, in FY17, we'll conclude the 2010 GO notes. The 2010 GO notes on the other half get concluded in FY18, which is the budget year you're considering. And by FY19, the 2012 Class A retire. Those are all really good news.
Thank you, Scott. Any other questions for Ron?
I've got one more thing. I talked to Scott about it. We do have some needed repairs that are coming up. They're not immediate, but like one of the domes is getting pretty bad. I talked to him about, and some smaller stuff that we need to do, but that's one of the major deals is that dome.
Okay.
I thought the dome was pretty immediate.
If it's considered an improvement as opposed to a maintenance, we can do the TIF. And we would intend to as well.
We can address that at that time. Right.
We can work on that as an independent capital project and bring it back before you for
Yeah.
a full decision on your part and not as part of this budget.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
You bet.
Appreciate it. And the last one, guy by the name of Knapp and Rexwinkle, in regard to administrative and finance. And Bev and Scott. Any questions for Bev or Scott?
So Beverly, how much we got
What's the total?
What page are we?
roughly?
456.
About,
456?
Got about 456.
We got a ways to go.
So we got 166 to go. So before we cut any more, we gotta do some more explaining. It's called transfers, right? Admin cost, whatever you wanna call it. What page is that on, Scotty?
It's under the general tab.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
11?
page 11. Sounds like Bev knew where it was.
Well, she put the thing together.
Page 11.
Traffic
What-
summary.
What we try to do on page 11 is we try to allocate everybody's time to the departments correctly. And the biggest item we have this year is Highway 75, right? That's the biggest unusual item we got in this year's upcoming budget, let's call it, $1.8 million. Typically, we put in 10, 15% for those major items as an administrative transfer to TIF. This year, we left transfers at 150, just like it was last year at 150. We didn't do a nickel difference. We left it the same, even though last year's improvements were only half as much as this year's improvements are gonna be. So we could adjust that number, but realize as we adjust that number, it's just pulling it out of TIF and putting it into general, and then next year, we don't have a $1.8 million project. So we didn't want to adjust that before anybody got a chance to look at these other items. But if you guys want to figure out page 11 some night or something, go for it. Because it's a pretty good little piece of work.
If you look at page 11, the enterprise funds have held static now for 3 consecutive years, and maybe that's not completely appropriate. I don't think.
This page got a lot of discussion for our few years at budget time.
Yeah.
Probably
And
inordinate amount of time, sometimes up to a couple hours.
I would like a little more time for that page and make a more firm recommendation at the next council meeting.
We just didn't think it was right for the finance committee and or staff to just come up with a different number and just tell you what it was. So I suggest that Scott looks at it. My guess is that it's gonna be different than 150, which is maybe gonna shorten that 166 we're short, maybe down under 100, and then we're just gonna have to sit there and look at some things and see if we wanna do them or not. Is that a fair analysis, Scott?
Yeah, I think we just need to review each of the line items on there to make sure that those transfers are correct and are representative of what's really happening here.
Right.
Administrative-wise.
I do have one question on page 40, and that is, what's with the increase of salaries and the top 7 columns? I'm just curious what's going on there.
What page is that on, Troy?
40. It would be salaries.
It was the phenomenon that Bill Cole left, and Bill was taken out of finance completely. If I could direct your attention to page 4.
Page 4?
No, I'm sorry, page 5.
Page 5.
If you look at the finance category, it looks like from FY17 to 18, finance significantly drops. And then if you look at admin engineering, that significantly increases. And the whole difference there is we've got Jason doing more admin and less finance, where Bill Cole was doing almost exclusively finance.
Okay.
He certainly was budgeted exclusively under finance.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, Claire?
Yeah, I had assumed it had to do with personnel shifts. All right, okay, that's what I thought.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there's 2 pages. There's a page that comes up with $900,000 of capital items, I think it is. 6?
General fund is on 6 and the enterprise fund are on 7.
I think the enterprise funds are taking care of themselves, so I just want to concentrate on the general fund.
What page is that on?
Page 6.
6.
That's the summary page of all the ones that were in the back part there. And I think we've already, changed a couple items on here. Downtown traffic lights is gone, the life pack is gone. The
Boom truck.
The boom truck is gone, the 245 is down to 95.
Bulletproof vest is down $1,000.
So, but if there's other items on here, because they are just general equipment things that we can delay or you just don't like, speak now.
Or do a lease or a half and half.
Yeah, if there's things that we can do that on, let's look at it.
You've got a little wiggle room there.
The one is, I think, we did ask about the Easy Line Painter, and I don't think that's a lease possibility.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, I just talked to him the other day, and they got some options out there to lease that.
Okay, so he's gonna come back with some lease options on the Easy Line Painter. Okay, that maybe gets us to 0, who knows?
Maybe we trade the Toro in.
I don't know if you're gonna get much trade-in value unless it goes to a museum.
Museum still running.
I mean, you gotta see this thing. You may want this.
Okay, anything else?
But that's the things that if you guys got any issues here.
Yep.
Speak now.
What's the deal with the extra street sweeper now? We're selling the old one, is that showing into the budget?
It's all in this year.
It's all in this year? Okay.
It's all taken care of by the time June's done, we'll be done, hopefully.
Yep, hopefully sleep.
Now, my question to them was that shouldn't the street sweeper save us some hours because it's so much more efficient? They're telling me it's still awful complicated to run, but they're figuring it out. And they're gonna keep.
Save you some time, but it won't cover a full guy.
Yeah, see. He's almost got that memorized.
I'll tell you what.
He's got that memorized, Dave. He must have gone to the same school you went.
You can do more streets, right? You can do more streets.
Most of them have been working on his budget since December. Old Scott's been working on it since last July.
But that's, if there's anything here, that's about the only things we got.
Okay. Do you understand that?
But we're gonna do the transfers, we're gonna come up with the new numbers, and then the 7th is our council meeting, right? And you're gonna give me a revised sheet by that time, right? You bet. See, next week she's gonna give us revised sheets.
Okay.
So we can talk about the council.
Anything else?
What are we short now?
I think we're short 160, 150, but that's before we do anything with transfers.
Yep.
And before I got my easy line painter on leases,
Yeah.
maybe. So maybe I'm only down 50. I don't know. And then if you guys got some things, even if they're small things, even if they're $1,000, like, what did we save, $1,000 on the vest or something?
4,000 on vest.
Yeah, if there's things like that that we can do, hey, let's.
1,000 here, 1,000 there, pretty soon you got money.
Yep. But we're getting awful
Good
close.
enough.
We're getting awful close to that number, which is where we kinda gotta be. As you got some-
Rex, that levy number, is that 12.5, I can't, is it 12.5 to 13, is that where the?
No, 12.7 is about as high as we could go. We could go to 12.7, maybe 12.75. But we also know next year, because we're picking up the money off the 1.7, we're gonna be in the 11s.
Okay.
So we kinda wanted to just do the shaving as we could correctly. I know, and this stuff, like I'm explaining, and Dick knows because he's heard it a couple times, this is not what councils typically do. This is not the easy stuff. Usually councils don't deal with this stuff, they just come up with whatever number comes up and they do it.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Just a minute, I just want to follow the general rule. We said we'd be out by 6, and it's about 5 till. I just want you people to know that I think we've really set up a program here tonight that has given everybody the opportunity to talk. And I really especially want to thank our council members, because I know they've put a great deal of time in this, and also our staff people. But it's a well-planned-out program. Everybody had an opportunity to share their thoughts, and as far as I'm concerned, we can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion made to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion adjourned. Thank you, everybody.